Alibaba, Jinggou, shake hands. How can you achieve success on every platform? I have a billion bit of traffic. Carrying the system and using traffic to become the king of e-commerce. Keywords of the novel. I have a traffic system without pop-ups, I have a traffic system for downloading the complete collection of TXT, and I have a traffic system for reading the latest chapters. Chapter 1. The first thing after getting up, making money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The first thing after getting up, making money. At 9 o'clock in the morning, at Yunqing College, Wu Zhou lay on the bed in the dormitory, which was empty. My head hurts a bit. He is a junior student at Yunqing University and also an old man who has lived on Earth for over 30 years. He traveled through and appeared in the parallel spacetime of this blue star. This is a spacetime with a very high similarity to Earth, and Earth's memories are blurred a lot when it first crosses over, as if deliberately disturbed by someone. So he easily accepted everything in front of him and became familiar with the unfamiliarity of his young body. The body I am traveling through is very young, which should be a good thing, but life is full of dog blood. Although my body is young, my physical condition feels inferior to the previous life. I only discovered it after searching for memories. The heart of this body is very poor, and the main reason why he will travel through time should be that after failing to confess to the goddess last night, Ling Ding got drunk and immediately hiccuped. This body, how can I wave? Wu Zhou couldn't help but complain. The welfare binding for travelers is 1%, 10%, 30%, Wu Zhou was stunned. Time travel novel, system binding 100%, binding successful, host. Wu Zhou age 22 life 23 talent 6 physical fitness 5 is the normal health value, 10 is the human limit, wealth 3562 traffic 0 free attribute 0 Wu Zhou looked at the illusory numbers in front of him, feeling a bit dazed. Do you mean I still have 1 year left? 23 years old is the theoretical age limit for the host, and considering the actual situation, the host may become paralyzed at any time. No wonder even a little wine can make a fool out of it. Wu Zhou even felt some anger in his heart. He had just crossed over and was about to paralyze himself. This special person was still human, not right, it was still a system. Not being a good person. The system sound is ringing again, sending new employee benefits. Successfully sent. 1 free attribute, 10,000 ultra-precise traffic. In an instant, the system's values changed. Free attribute. 1 traffic. 10,000 and behind physique and talent, there is a plus sign. Wu Zhou didn't even ask what the system was useful, he just clicked on the back of his physique. There's nothing I can do, I'm so weak, not 1% of myself in my previous life. Where can I do this? Without much time to think, Wu Zhou felt like a warm current in his body. His headache instantly improved by half, and his weak energy seemed to dissipate in an instant. What was more obvious was that his presence in the heart area weakened a lot, and the suffocation in his chest cavity disappeared by half. I feel like every breath has become much fresher. Is the effect so obvious? Wu Zhou felt like he was a new student now, although still not as healthy as 5. But don't forget, most people are actually sub-healthy. Apart from those robust young men, there are few serious people with a body mass that can reach 5. And with the addition of physical fitness, the lifespan column has changed from 23 years old to 28 years old, instantly increasing by 5 years. How can I exchange attribute points? After tasting the sweetness, Wu Zhou certainly wouldn't be satisfied with it, after all, although there are still system. When the host's wealth meets the system requirements, the system will prompt the host to exchange attribute points for each certain wealth value reached. Looking at the wealth column, it seems to be over 3,000, isn't that enough? Wu Zhou thought to himself that the system didn't respond to him either. How to use this traffic value? Making money is not something that can be done right away, it's better to figure out the system more clearly. System. Host can promote the information they want to promote through channels to targeted audiences. In the instant, Wu Zhou's mind was filled with e-commerce people, the promotion of the backstage through train, and the launch of TikTok's pods. System. Host, what you think is very correct. Okay. This is to make oneself a veteran in e-commerce. As an experienced e-commerce driver for over 8 years, I can handle this. Now the traffic is free and accurate. This is like adding wings to a tiger. Thinking of this, Wu Zhou immediately became happy and wanted to quickly verify it. Quickly search for information about e-commerce in your memory. Then take out your phone and log into the mainstream shopping apps on your phone. After browsing, I have probably made a preliminary judgment in my heart. The e-commerce of Blue Star is roughly equivalent to what it looked like on Earth around 2017. It is already very mature, far surpassing foreign countries, but still considered a blue ocean. At least for a successful hand like Wu Zhou. Wu Zhou was instantly full of confidence in the future. In fact, at the moment when the system allowed him to earn more money, Wu Zhou's mind flashed through many of the money-making ideas seen in novels, such as writing songs, copying novels, and so on. But I can't do it. Singing without looking at the lyrics, the level at which one cannot sing, how can one copy the song? I have read countless novels, but they are all 3 pages per second. Once I finish reading them, I can't remember much of the plot. How can I copy them? Unless it is directly provided by the system, it is obvious that Wu Zhou's system does not have this function. The above are not my strengths. It seems that the welfare of travelers is linked to their own advantages, Wu Zhou couldn't help but think. After waking up, Wu Zhou remained by the computer, organizing his money-making ideas. Present the things and problems needed for entrepreneurship in the form of a mind map. A good memory is not as good as a bad pen. Success is a matter of probability, and how to increase the probability of success is what Wu Zhou does. Many questions may not have been thought of at first, but it is possible to organize what can be thought of in advance. Give a simple example. To apply for a business license, you need an ID card and an office address. It's best to prepare them in advance, otherwise they will pass by and you will need to come back and get these things done again. Finance and taxation require finance. In the early stages, you can just find an accounting agency. There are so many accounting agencies, so just look for them casually. As for recruiting accountants, what do you think? The cost of hiring varies by more than 10 times. The premise for entrepreneurs to make money is how to maximize the use of money. Income expenditure, finding ways to increase income, finding ways to reduce expenses, and achieving a balance between income and expenditure is the first step for a company to survive. Thirdly, although office space is good everywhere, it is expensive and easy for tycoons to choose from. However, as someone who is just starting a business and has a tight budget, it is most suitable to look for a type of entrepreneurial base with entrepreneurial subsidies in the initial stage. If there is no such base, find an apartment with cheaper rent. Ordinary residential buildings are not suitable as they are not commercial properties and cannot be used as an office space. Go to the source of goods, the wholesale market in Yuncheng, and find online B2B e-commerce platforms. Finally, all of the above require money. After obtaining a business license, it would take at least 1 or 2 weeks according to one's own third-tier small city in the past life, and some public finance and tax officials may even make things difficult. However, there are also some southern cities where financial and tax officials can run down in a day. These are very humane cities, so ultimately, it depends on how the business environment in Cloud City is. Those with good business environments can spend less, while those with poor business environments need to consider, then we need to spend more. Wu Zhou doesn't want to run anymore. He just needs to find a good accounting agency. Through the local platform, search for accounting agencies, and then look at the company's establishment years. The online quotation is 3,000 and 3,800 per year. If you choose to cooperate, you can help apply for a license for free. Also, after selecting 2 accounting agencies, Wuzhou is ready to go and chat in person. If you want the office location to be faster, it's best to find an intermediary. As for the source of goods, this can be done at any time, but we need to select the products in advance and have a rough direction, which can improve efficiency. Finally, it's about express delivery. For ordinary people, individual items cost around 10 yuan per order, but for a large number of commercial items, a single order may only cost 2 or 3 yuan. Even for high-quality express delivery like SF Express, around 5 yuan is enough. However, the prerequisite is that there is a quantity. But don't worry about these, once you have traffic and choose a good product, there will definitely be order volume. After a thorough analysis, how will the initial funds come from? Just for the business license and external accounting, Wuzhou's total money is almost enough, not to mention the subsequent office location and supply of goods, which would cost at least 30,000 to 50,000 yuan. So how do you make money? Wuzhou looked at the traffic column displayed in the system. 10,000 an idea emerged. I currently have 10,000 precise traffic. Since it is precise traffic, the conversion will definitely not be bad. After all, this is a system product, also known as a cheat under the premise of having traffic, what non-capital buying and selling can make money. Wuzhou is also familiar with this. He has collaborated with many of these secondary dealers on Earth affairs before. Many merchants have products. After all, everyone lives in an era of abundant resources, where supply exceeds demand, so traffic has become a rare product. Rare goods are precious, and merchants are vigorously promoting, giving broadcasters tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of broadcasting fees. The reason for this is not just the rare traffic. If Wuzhou were a well-known sales expert now, merchants would definitely take the initiative. Obviously, this is not the case in reality. So Wuzhou can only go to Taoca platform to find products on his own. What kind of product are you looking for? Starting from the analysis of demand, it is necessary to earn over 50,000 from this 10,000 traffic in order to be suitable. If this precise traffic has a conversion rate of about 30%, which is already very high, then it is likely that 3,000 transactions can be made. If you want to earn more than 50,000, the selected product must have a profit of over 16.66 yuan per transaction. And for profits above 16 yuan, according to Taobao's average of around 20.3%, when converted, products must be priced at least 83.5 yuan or above. In most cases, the higher the price, the lower the traffic conversion. In order to avoid reducing the previous 30% conversion rate estimate due to price factors, Wuzhou wants to find emotional selling points for consumers. Products that follow the trend are good products. Wuzhou glanced at the date on his phone and his eyes lit up. It seems that there is a product available now. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The value of traffic. The first barrel of gold. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 2. The value of traffic. The first barrel of gold. What product is most likely to make consumers impulse purchase? Products that can stimulate consumer emotions. What product has a lower price and consumers buy less? For example, gift-giving products. What product has a particularly strong sales explosion and is a seasonal product? Qingming Youth League, Dragon Boat Festival Zongzi, Mid-Autumn Festival Moon Cakes, Year-End Gift Boxes, etc. Wuzhou looked at his phone and saw that it was September 2nd, about 10 days before the Mid-Autumn Festival. Isn't that a coincidence? The mooncake gift box has become Wuzhou's perfect product choice. Wuzhou sorted the sales of various e-commerce platforms and recorded the top mooncake brands of Blue Star. Find the top selling price point again, record it, and finally delete it. Identify the optimal ones. Through the Tauka platform, find out if there is any promotion for the product, and if the promotion commission can reach 16 yuan or more. After filtering, there is only one remaining model. Wu Zhou organized his language skills with a targeted approach. Out of stock king. Love flowing milk yellow mooncake gift box. It has been rated as one of the 3 most delicious mooncakes in the world by foodies, and has won the certification of the Chanel in the mooncake industry by foodies. People who don't like mooncakes can't forget it alone. The delicious and crying heartfelt mooncake, the out-of-stock king, and the official flagship store. Offline 358 yuan per box. Now it's only 299 yuan. If the price is too low, don't take chances. I wish everyone a happy and delicious meal. At the forefront of the industry, the price is high enough. Although there is only a commission of about 10%, the average promotion fee for a single order is also close to 30 yuan. Although the conversion rate may be lower than my estimated 30%, after all, the price range of around 300 is indeed a bit high. However, this is a gift giving, and for the vast majority of people, giving gifts is not just for one person, so it will be purchased in bulk. Alright, all the preparations are done, the next step is to promote traffic. The data reappeared in front of Wu Zhou's eyes, traffic usage, starting with 5,000, Wu Zhou thought to himself. Leave some room for yourself, don't all in one go. After a moment, the value after the flow rate changed to 5,000. It seems like there hasn't been much change. Wu Zhou waited for about 3 minutes, watching as he promoted the link item, as if there was no significant change in sales. Just when I was about to investigate something. The dormitory door was pushed open, and several roommates walked in one after another. Li Xing held some meals in white plastic bags with disposable chopsticks in his hand. Xiao Zhou finally woke up. It's better. This is the food I brought for you. Li Xing placed the food in front of Wu Zhou's table. It's okay, much better now. Wu Zhou could feel the concern of this roommate. The memory of this person also came to mind. The wealthy second generation in the dormitory was tall, handsome, and had a gentle personality. Their family worked in real estate in a third-tier city and had some money, but Wu Zhou didn't know how much it was. It was certain that they had no worries about food and clothing. For over 2 years in college, they have always been very low-key. But he was carrying a watch worth over 100,000 yuan and the latest 7,000 or 8,000 yuan mobile phone, all of which revealed his family background. As for why Wu Zhou knew the price of the watch, it was because during class, Wu Zhou accidentally saw that Li Xing's watch looked pretty. Just ask him how much he bought it for. Li Xing smiled and didn't say anything, just said it wasn't expensive. Wu Zhou had no choice but to search on shopping platforms and... Thank you, how much does it cost? Although I care about the food I bring, among friends, I still know how to calculate the money. Li Xing also understood Wu Zhou's personality and said the price, so Wu Zhou transferred it to him. It looks much better, Li Xing smiled. That's right, because a woman is not worth it. By the way, I know a beautiful woman from the accounting class. How about introducing her to you? Wang Tao is the self-proclaimed big brother in the dormitory and also the class monitor. My nature is not bad, but I just love to show off. I often talk about meeting XXX or having a good relationship with XXX teacher. Forget it, no need. I want to live a few more years, Wu Zhou smiled and waved his hand. Eating and chatting, Wu Zhou gradually adapted to his role. The two souls of Earth and Blue Star seem to slowly and completely merge together. There are 6 people in the dormitory, except for Wu Zhou, 5 of them have returned. There are reasons for those who are preparing for the postgraduate entrance examination, those who work part-time outside and need to travel around, and those who are accompanying their girlfriends. Li Xing and Wang Tao didn't stay in the dormitory for long before going out. After all, There were no classes in the afternoon, and both of them had girlfriends. The summer vacation had just ended and they had only returned to college a few days ago. The beauty generated by distance between young couples is really at its peak, and now we are still in our honeymoon period. Of course, we always want to spend more time with our girlfriend. The purpose of returning is to care about Wu Zhou's condition. After Li Xing and Wang Tao left, Wu Zhou finally reopened his computer. It only took about half an hour before and after, but before I could even see it, the computer let out a growl and shut down. Wu Zhou knew that the dormitory had limited power and the computer was out of battery. If he wanted to restart it, he would have to wait until after 6 p.m. in the afternoon. The entire dormitory now only has the power supply for the electric fan, which is due to the school's concern about the hot weather and heatstroke among the students. Wu Zhou looked at the computer with no hope, and then looked at the changes in wealth values in the system, which were still the same as before. Feeling somewhat helpless, this form of traffic usage without any feedback, lacking a sense of control, makes it difficult for Wu Zhou to receive timely feedback and dislikes this experience. Just when Wu Zhou didn't know, the operation of the official flagship store of Love was staring at the data with wide eyes. Although Love's flowing heart mooncakes have been in season recently and are selling the most in the industry, with sales of over 100,000 yuan, their products have been continuously promoted through Taobao's live streaming in the early stages. It is only after they have been measured recently that the frequency of these off-site promotions has decreased. After all, the season is coming soon, and the company doesn't have much stock left. The sales task for this year's Mid-Autumn Festival has also been completed, and the inventory has been sold out before being taken down. The mentality is very relaxed. In the last few days, just sell whatever you want and sell out the inventory. Now with a daily sales volume of over 1K, there is still 1.5 W of inventory left, which is almost sold out. In the past, during the day, the highest hourly sales were only around 60 points, and from 19.00 to midnight at night, it could reach around 100 points, but now, with a year-on-year growth of over 600%, sales have reached over 400, which looks particularly impressive. After analyzing the sources of product traffic, we finally saw that it was traffic from Taobao customers. I don't know which Taobao customer it is, but there is still this amount now. It's okay. However, following the principle that more is better than less, he didn't go into detail about the amount brought by the Taobao customer. After all, after the Mid-Autumn Festival, this is not very necessary. And even if salted fish is fine, why work so hard? As the #1 brand in the mooncake industry, even without much promotion, the brand's traffic alone can easily survive. You don't need to be like those who operate third-rate brands, you need to focus on a lot and study various technical tricks. Wu Zhou appeared in the school classroom, not to say that he loved learning, but after wandering around the school for a while, it was still a bit hot outside. Although his body was better, it was still weak. The air conditioning in the classroom is on, cool, and most importantly, there is electricity. After being charged, the computer can finally be turned on again. The battery is only a little empty, indicating that it is almost empty. This time, Wu Zhou opened his own Taobao backend, indicating the order volume. My eyes widened a lot. After all, I said I wanted to increase traffic until now, but it only took me a little over an hour. With such output, it's really great. Click-through count. 985, settlement count. 521 orders, payment amount. 186934, estimated settlement revenue. 18,693.4 inch. Most people only buy one box with one transaction, but there are also some who buy multiple copies with one transaction, so the number of orders is higher than the actual sales volume. This conversion rate is a bit outrageously high, with over 54% conversion rate, which is the precise traffic produced by the system. Wu Zhou couldn't help but admire it. Normally, for such a high-priced product, a traffic conversion rate of around 5% would be good. And the conversion rate of this traffic generated by the system is more than 10 times higher. System. If the system produces, it must be a high quality product. Wu Zhou heard the systematic self-praise in his mind and smiled lightly at the corners of his mouth. The precise traffic of the system is indeed very precise and high quality, but Wu Zhou believes that there is also a part of the reason for his good product selection. Of course, these will be gradually verified in the future. The data in front of him, with an income of 1.8 million yuan per hour, made Wu Zhou's heart skip a beat when he saw this figure. But later on, Wu Zhou also had another guess, whether the precise traffic of 10,000 refers to display volume or click-through volume. It's like an advertising link that was presented to 1 million users through the platform, but only 10,000 users clicked in the end. So this 100,000 is the display volume, and 10,000 is the click-through volume. Wu Zhou's doubts were not responded to by the system, and it is clear that he still hopes that Wu Zhou can obtain answers through his own proactive thinking. Wu Zhou's verification is also relatively easy. If there is nothing to do, just refresh it, and after a while, refresh it again. Watching the values continue to rise without any downward trend in magnitude. Wu Zhou has the answer to what this traffic refers to. The result is much better than I thought. The precise traffic of the system refers to the number of clicks. I have invested 5,000, and based on the current conversion situation, I can probably earn over 90,000 yuan in revenue. After abandoning platform fees and taxes, I estimate to have over 70,000 yuan in hand. I still have 5,000 yuan of traffic. Will I continue to invest? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. New Goals. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. New Goals. We still need to invest in traffic, but in terms of time, Wu Zhou is prepared to wait a little longer. At noon, when we were releasing traffic, Wu Zhou was too impulsive because the main selling time for the product was in the evening, and the morning was actually a relatively sluggish time. Wu Zhou wants to explore whether this traffic will ultimately lead to conversion fluctuations due to different launch times. If the results are the same no matter what time, then for Wu Zhou, these flows are just a foolproof operation. If not, then Wu Zhou needs to try and summarize more. I think too much, you always say that. The song suddenly sounded, interrupting Wu Zhou's thoughts. Looking at the sound, it was my own phone. The singing of the second in this special song. Wu Zhou felt a bit embarrassed and changed the ringtone later. But after looking at the caller on the screen, it showed "Dear Mom and Dad." After some thought, I found more information about my parents. The phone number shows my parents because they only have this phone and work together in another city, which is also known as migrant workers. On weekdays, they work hard and are busy living from 7 in the morning to 11 in the evening, but they have never told Wu Zhou about their hard work, never. Every phone conversation is simple, asking about one's physical condition, followed by asking if there is enough money. If it's not enough, tell them. They can make money and earn a lot, so Wu Zhou must not be frugal in eating and drinking. As for how much I can earn, it's around 300 yuan a day. When it's good, it's more. When it's not good, my parents won't say. Before crossing over, Wu Zhou had never experienced the vicissitudes of society and was unaware of the hardships of work. When he heard his parents say that he could earn over 300 yuan a day, he felt much more at ease when it came to spending money. But after all, Wu Zhou of the earth has been working for many years, earning over 300 yuan, which is the income of his parents working about 15 hours a day. This is all hard money, very hard money. Wu Zhou couldn't help but feel a bit sour in his heart as he answered the phone. Hello, Zhou, how have you been lately? Is your health okay? The mother on the other end of the phone first asked with concern. It's pretty good, Mom, don't worry. I've been feeling much better lately and my heart feels fine. Wu Zhou didn't want to worry his parents either. Okay, but also be careful. The doctor didn't say before that you need more rest, it's better to be careful. Mom also knew that Wu Zhou's words were to comfort herself, but listening to the loud voice on the phone, it seemed really good, and she felt relieved. I know, Mom, don't worry. By the way, child, do you have a partner? Mom asked again. No, I haven't liked anything yet. Wu Zhou felt a bit helpless. Unexpectedly, during the conversation between the first time and his mother, what he heard was urging someone. It's okay if you don't have any, but if you have something you like, you have to fight for it. If you don't have enough money, you must tell your mother that the factory's business has been good lately. Your mother and father can earn over 400 yuan a day, so you don't have to save. Obedience, I'll definitely tell you when I have a partner. Mom, I have enough money, and there's still over 3,000 in my card. Don't worry. You guys need to be careful. I have enough money, so don't work too late and rest more. Also, don't just think about me eating more and buying more delicious food. Me and your dad, don't worry. Yesterday, your dad went to the market to buy shrimp. We chatted briefly again, and Wu Zhou's father remained silent throughout the conversation. However, occasionally during breaks, we could hear Wu Zhou's father whispering softly to his mother, he has been listening, but he is not good at speaking. Hanging up the phone, Wu Zhou looked at his phone and his mouth curved. This is his own parents. Although they did not give him a so-called higher starting line, the love in life made Wu Zhou feel the happiness of life. If we say, at the beginning, Wu Zhou's entrepreneurial goal was to integrate systematically, improve his physical fitness, and live longer. So now, there is a more purpose, for the sake of my parents, to make myself their pride, to make their lives better, to make them happy and healthy. I refreshed several times again, but the data has been growing rapidly. After running through this 5,000 traffic, it is estimated to be around 6 p.m. in the afternoon. Wu Zhou couldn't have been here watching wasting time all the time. System, my Taobao account shows so much money, why hasn't my wealth value increased? System. Points are updated based on actual time of receipt. Wu Zhou frowned slightly, can't I overdraw in advance? I can pay some interest. The system did not respond. Wu Zhou had no choice but to check the arrival time of the amount received by Blue Star Taobao. Good guy, like Earth, the bill will be settled on the 20th of the following month. There are still over 40 days left before and after this. It's taking up too much time. If they borrow money from their parents, they will definitely worry. Borrowing money from classmates. Wu Zhou is someone who can avoid troubling others and firmly does not like to trouble them. On weekdays, most classmates borrow money from each other, occasionally forgetting to bring money and borrowing a few yuan or more. Later, Wu Zhou opened various payment software to see how much money could be borrowed from them. The mainstream 3 apps can be borrowed for about 30,000 yuan. The monthly repayment interest is about 1%, and if annualized, it would be 12%. However, fortunately, Wu Zhou borrowed money for the first time and gave it a 60% discount. The actual loan interest is about 7.2%. Wu Zhou can return almost all of it in a month. We still need to save some flowers. In the classroom, I searched for several Cloud City accounting agencies that have been registered for at least 3 years, and contacted them one by one through phone. After screening 2 companies and recording their addresses, they left the classroom door. At this moment, the sun happened to be at its most toxic, and the heat wave made Wu Zhou take a deep breath. As I walked to the school gate, I habitually searched for the taxi app on my phone and found that it wasn't there. It's not that Blue Star doesn't have a taxi app, it's just that Wu Zhou has always been reluctant. The bus costs 1 yuan, and the starting fare for a taxi is 6 yuan. There's such a big difference, how can we afford it? After thinking for a while, Wu Zhou finally downloaded the taxi software. Although public transportation can save some time, it is estimated that Wu Zhou will have to walk an extra 10,000 steps. Just Wu Zhou's small physique, don't let his body get in. Of course, the key point is that Wu Zhou is currently short of money, not money. After all, he still has a large amount of funds that will arrive in a month. The most important thing he needs to do now is to save time, improve efficiency, and put things into practice. Wu Zhou, I'm sorry last night. I took a shower and my phone wasn't by my side. A beautiful figure suddenly spoke not far from Mr. Wu, and she didn't expect to see Wu Zhou today. Wu Zhou looked in the direction of the sound, with a simple meatball, a white T-shirt paired with a short piece, and an unexpectedly stunning appearance. After a brief recollection, I recognized that the person in front of me was the culprit who caused Wu Zhou's hiccup last night. Wu Zhou felt the strange affection his body had for him in front of him. It's okay, Wu Zhou nodded and responded with a smile, waving his hand. Beautiful is beautiful, but that's what Wu Zhou likes, not what Wu Zhou on earth likes. Han Xinyan was slightly taken aback, not expecting Wu Zhou to react like this. The absence of the phone is definitely just an excuse. If you really took a shower and didn't bring your phone, you can still go back when you see a missed call. However, the phone call came too late and there was almost no pause after not answering. Han Xinyan guessed that Wu Zhou wanted to confess his feelings to her. But if you refuse directly, it seems a bit awkward. However, she also has experience in dealing with such things, just handle them coldly, and a normal person probably understands the meaning. Unexpectedly seeing Wu Zhou, she didn't feel as lethargic and depressed as she thought. On the contrary, there was even a sense of distance and generosity in the expression. It's as if I'm just a stranger, as if I'm the one being rejected. But she couldn't bear to think too much. I have something to do, I'll leave first. We'll have a chance to chat later. Goodbye. The car arrived, and Wu Zhou waved to her and got in the car and left directly. Leaving without any hesitation, reluctant to part. It seems different from before. Han Xinyan couldn't help but think. Glancing at Wu Zhou as he left, he then smiled and walked towards the dormitory. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Spending money like flowing water. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Spending money like flowing water. I originally planned to visit the two families, but after the first one met, I felt it was okay and decided on it directly. This financial company has been established for 7 years, so don't worry too much about running away halfway. Although the finance company is small, with only about 10 people in total, there are more people in their 30s and 40s, and there are only 1 or 2 young people who have just graduated. They should be more proficient in their business. And during the final conversation with the boss, Wu Zhou was able to solve all the problems he had prepared. It is a solution that directly provides a landing method, rather than exaggerating. Finally, Wu Zhou gave 3 pre-prepared company names and they checked the names. 1 was passed, and 2 were fine. Finally finalized the company name. Yincheng Aiying Commerce Company, Limited. In fact, Wu Zhou has also decided on a brand name, but due to limited funds, we will talk about it next month. If Wu Zhou wants to register a full category brand, it will cost several thousand yuan. The subsequent procedures, such as obtaining a business license, require a deposit of 800 yuan. If we continue to cooperate with the accounting agency, we don't need to pay for this business license. We will provide them with an additional 3,000 yuan, totaling 3,800 yuan per year for the accounting agency fee. The registered capital of the company is 100,000 yuan, and it also needs to be registered as a general taxpayer. The registered address happens to be familiar with the finance company. There is a business incubation base in the high-tech zone, and you can provide the registered address. You can pay 1,000 yuan per year, and there is a workstation that you don't need to go to, just for the purpose of registering the company. The registered capital is 100,000 yuan, not just the actual payment of 100,000 yuan, it's just a small amount, so Wu Zhou doesn't have much profit either. It is estimated that it will take about a week for the entire operation to come down. Finally, regarding the official seal and tax matters, Wu Zhou will need to come and cooperate. Taking it all down, Wu Zhou is also very worry-free. Boss Wu is young and promising. He started his company when he went to college. My son is also in college, so I wanted him to tinker with things, but overall he knows how to play games and is worried to death. The finance boss smiled and praised Wu Zhou in front of him, demoting his own son. But Wu Zhou just smiled, that's just a cliché. After finishing the financial matters, it was already past 4 o'clock, and Wu Zhou went to find an intermediary company at the next stop. Hello, where do you want to see a house on your end? As soon as Wu Zhou arrived at the middle entrance, he looked up and saw a young man running out in a lively manner, greeting him. I would like to rent an office apartment, a ground floor or an office building. The budget rent is around 2K, and an area of about 50 square meters is sufficient, preferably near Yinqing College. Wu Zhou directly stated his needs. The intermediary was also taken aback at first, because most of the people who came to see the house were buying, selling, or renting. Residential properties are predominant, with little exposure to commercial residential leasing. Just a moment, I'll check for you. However, Wu Zhou provided ample information. After pouring a glass of water for Wu Zhou, he directly checked in the background of the intermediary company. Although Wu Zhou's order was small, for newcomers, it was fine if there was an order, and there was no need to pick anything. Soon there were some options to discuss with Wu Zhou. In the end, it is mostly due to the price or location being too far to pass. Brother, this way, please leave your contact information. I will keep an eye on it for you during this period and contact you immediately if there is anything suitable. Finally, Wu Zhou left his contact information and felt a slight sense of disappointment in his heart. He took advantage of the disappointment and left. But there's no way, I can't resist the demands of Wu Zhou's budget location. More than 50 square meters is actually a very awkward area, mostly around 100 square meters, but the price is much higher, mostly around 3.5K, which exceeds the budget. Wu Zhou suddenly had a flash of inspiration, and as he was about to leave, he said again. For the ones we just saw that were okay, please help me contact and ask if you accept the 1 payment 6 deposit form. If possible, I will go and see. Commercial leasing is almost always paid annually, so if the budget exceeds, Wu Zhou really has no money, so in the end, Wu Zhou also wants to negotiate. Okay, brother, I'll try contacting you now. The agent's eyes lit up. Because the higher the rental unit price, the more commission he receives. Wu Zhou only made a slight compromise, and the budget more than doubled, which is equivalent to doubling his commission. 6 questions were asked, 1 was unanswered, 2 were too troublesome to agree, and only 3 reluctantly agreed, which was beyond Wu Zhou's expectations. Around 4.30, Wu Zhou and his agent went to see a house. One was the second floor of an office building, the other was a shady underground business on the inner street, and there was also an apartment, all of which were about 100 square meters. Entering an office building feels a bit like an office space from a TV drama, but it looks quite comfortable. The area is 161 square meters, which is very suitable, and the annual rent is only 50,000 yuan. The advantage is that it is in an office building, with a large area, but the disadvantage is that it is dark and sunny. There are no windows, otherwise it wouldn't be so cheap. It's clear under the blue sky and white sun, but you still have to turn on the lights. Without the lights, it's completely black. I can only say it again. The second one focuses on the bottom line. Generally speaking, the street-facing bottom line is the most expensive, followed by the sunny side. Due to budget constraints, Wu Zhou was looking at a shady underground business on an inner street with no foot traffic. Although it was summer, it was still relatively cool after entering. It was estimated that there were not many air conditioners that couldn't warm up in winter, and the area was only 100 square meters. However, there were not many public stalls, only a dozen or so, and there could be more than 80 actual usable areas. There are not many people on the inner street, only a few vehicles occasionally come and go. It is clean and there are 2 hair salons, which will be convenient for future hairdressing and save time. Wu Zhou is quite satisfied with it. The last apartment, after entering, is actually similar to an office building, but there are too many rooms on each floor, at least 20.30, some for company office use and some for personal residence. It looks quite chaotic, and the area is claimed to be 115 square meters. However, Wu Zhou estimated that the actual usable area could be around 60, which means that the shared area could reach about 50%. Of course, it's not without its advantages. The advantage is that the floor height can be around 4 meters, and if separated in the middle, the actual usable area can be larger. Wu Zhou also thought of some remedial measures, but in the end, he shook his head. Finally, we finalized the second bottom line with the intermediary and asked them to negotiate with the landlord again. The landlord offered a price of 40,000 yuan. When we met face-to-face, we made a few simple cuts, but did not make any changes. Wu Zhou hoped to secure a lower price of around 3,600 yuan, which would be even better. If it is below 3.6 W, the price difference will be directly given to the intermediary, which will also give them more motivation when bargaining. The intermediary was working very actively as they saw that this order was about to be completed. Without letting Wu Zhou wait, he directly started bargaining with the landlord in front of Wu Zhou. "Brother, do you think the price of your house can be further reduced? My client is very interested. If we make a slight concession, we can sign directly. The market has been bad lately, and the street-facing properties are not very easy to rent. Our inner street properties, after talking for a while, the landlord finally lowered the price by 1,000, so the final price was 3.9 W. Wu Zhou didn't leave any further ink on it, so he made a deposit and paid a monthly rent of 3,250 yuan. He gave the landlord a total of 2.3000 yuan, and the remaining 1.9000 yuan will be paid in 6 months. The intermediary fee was half a month's rent, and Wu Zhou gave 1,600, and the intermediary wiped out the rest. The new person opened the order, although they didn't receive the price difference. Wu Zhou was straightforward and it took more than 3 hours before and after. "Brother, let me treat you to a meal." The agent was happy and wanted to invite Wu Zhou to a meal. However, Wu Zhou refused and needs to go back quickly. "Although I ran all afternoon today, it was still very smooth overall." Originally, Wu Zhou had about 3.5 days to go. Office location, most of the time you have to run for a while, the agent looks for it, runs around on your own, and can handle it in a week. And Wu Zhou only had 3 or 4 hours before and after. Of course, these few hours this afternoon were also the ones where Wu Zhou, who was in the Blue Star, spent the most money. Accounting agent 800, pending payment of 3,000, rent. 2.3 W, agency fee. 1,600 summary. 2.54 million, we still need to go out another 3,000 in a week, total 2.84 W. I have a total of 3,560 on hand and just borrowed 30,000. The taxi cost around 50 yuan. The money is not hot yet, almost all of it has been spent. There is still 8,100 left, and another 3,000 will be paid in a few days. In the end, Wu Zhou has a remaining amount of 5,100. Wu Zhou couldn't help but look up at the sky and sigh. Spending money is like flowing water. There is already one person left by my side, but my body cannot stop feeling tired. I have to walk over 20,000 steps today at least. Fortunately, when I added some points before, I added physical fitness. It's definitely impossible to save money by taking the bus, but we still have to waste money taking a taxi back to school. This first day of wearing more and more is really fulfilling. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Livestock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Livestock. Xinyan, Li Xing told me that last night Wu Zhou had drunk too much because of you. If you don't feel anything about him, you should have less contact with him. Zhao Dan is Li Xing's girlfriend, and when she saw Han Xinyan come back tonight, she directly relayed Li Xing's words. Have you drunk too much? Han Xinyan instinctively repeated, then thought of the scene when we met today and shook his head with a slight sense of helplessness. Take a light sigh before saying. I understand what you mean by mail ticket. However, he has a bit of control over it, and I never gave Wu Zhou a chance before. It's him who has been persisting, okay. Han Xinyan felt somewhat helpless. Because she is beautiful and single, there are too many opposite-sex people around her who actively approach and refuse one wave after another, but there are still people who come one after another. Wu Zhou is also one of them. Just because I've heard that Wu Zhoushan's health is not very good, I declined more politely, but I didn't expect there to be such a one in the end. Can it be considered an unfounded disaster? Wu Zhou didn't know about his roommate Li Xing's concern. At this moment, he had just arrived at school. Although he was very tired, he was also hungry. He cooked a pack of instant noodles and eggs at a small shop in the school. There are several pairs of men and women playing around in some seats near the corner. Occasionally, beautiful classmates would come in to buy something. Wu Zhou instinctively glanced at them again. When they scanned, they occasionally exchanged glances, but most of them didn't stop. When they turned around and left, they were also very determined. Obviously, the novels are all deceptive. Even if I wear cheats, I still don't attract as much attention, Wu Zhou joked to himself. As a seasoning for a mundane life. After finishing the meal, I returned to the dormitory and my roommates were also there. Li Xing and his girlfriend Zhao Dan are talking on the phone about kanji. Wu Zhou hears the two men's tired and crooked voices outside the door, full of the smell of dog food. Boat, you're back. Wang Tao was swinging his phone, laughing and chatting with netizens. He didn't know what kind of vulgar language he was talking about, and often had to give out bad chuckles. Xiaozhou, he just came back. He came back so late, which girl did he meet up with? Wang Tao frowned at Wu Zhou, adding a touch of lewdness to his chubby figure. The other three, Earth Wu Zhou, have seen each other for the first time. Shi Shuijian, who was young and mature, looked like a person in his 30s or 40s at a young age. When he came to school to report, he made the receiving counselor think he was a student's parent. During the exam, he left the examination room early, and other invigilators even nodded at him, thinking he was the invigilator of another class. Moreover, wearing leather shoes, suits, pants, and shirts on a daily basis, getting older, apart from attending classes, most of the time they are top-notch. They collect waste at school, work part-time channels, and get linked mobile phone cards, etc. As long as they can make money, they will want to try anything they can do, so they are called Mr. Shi. The school has a very wide network of people. Shi Shuijian and Wu Zhou nodded with a smile, then continued to play with his computer. He had always been like this. The last two, Zhou Yunpu's ordinary appearance, some like to take advantage of small advantages. Zhao Yong's appearance is similar to that of Shi Shuijian, and he entered the army of hair loss at a young age. After a simple greeting, Wu Zhou opened his computer and quickly checked the data of Taobao customers. Click-through count. 5,000, settlement count. 3216, payment amount. 125,4240, estimated settlement revenue. 125,424 inch. A single item has a transaction price of approximately 299 yuan, which is equivalent to selling 4,194 boxes of mooncakes. With 5,000 clicks, 4,194 boxes of mooncakes were sold, which is a bit far from the general market. The conversion rate of data and payment has reached 64%, which is a significant increase compared to noon. You should know that this is a large customer order product that costs nearly 300 yuan. However, it can also be seen from this point that the precise flow rate of the system is fluctuating. It will fluctuate according to the placement time. But Wu Zhou was also curious why these traffic were not all released at once. System. The system only pushes products to people who want to buy them, and does not force consumers to make purchases. The system answered Wu Zhou's doubts. Even so, with only 5,000 traffic, it won't take so long to advertise. System. This is ultra-precise traffic, not regular traffic. Wu Zhou wanted to ask for more details, but the system did not respond afterwards. Obviously, the system has its own logical operation method, and the system does not intend to directly tell Wu Zhou about that method. After pondering for a while, Wu Zhou turned to his data panel. Host. Wu Zhou age. 22 life. 28 talent. 6 physical fitness. 5 is the normal health value, 10 is the human limit, wealth .25462 flow rate. 5,000 free attribute. 0 The wealth value has become negative. It's really real. Time updates, and now I can be considered a loser, right? If you come out at any moment, you will have to go bankrupt with your credit. These are just jokes. With only 5,000 traffic, Wu Zhou has already brought in 120,000 yuan in income. Even if it will be deducted a lot after tax, it can still reach around 100,000 yuan. When the deduction is completed, the wealth value will be there. So at this moment, although Wu Zhou is a negative person, his mentality is still very good. The remaining 5,000 traffic, invest another 3,000, and the remaining 2,000. Wu Zhou doesn't like the operation of all-in, his income of 120,000 is already very good. After turning off the computer and washing up briefly, Wu Zhou lay down and went to sleep. Zhou, go to bed so early. Li Xing saw that Wu Zhou seemed to be a bit tired and went to bed early, thinking that Wu Zhou's emotional injury was still not healed. I'm a bit tired, just go to bed early. The dormitory lights are still on, but Wu Zhou has already fallen asleep. Li Xing and Wang Tao glanced at each other, slightly worried. Shi Shuijian also glanced at it and didn't say anything. However, the movement in the dormitory was originally a bit quieter. At the moment when Wu Zhou was sleeping, the operation of the official flagship store of Love Mooncake in a residential area in Shanghai was speechless as he looked at the data in front of him. On weekdays, the sales volume is over 1,000, but today it's not over yet. That Taobao customer who came out of nowhere pushed over 4,000 boxes of mooncakes, and the total sales volume is almost over 6K. Fortunately, around 8 o'clock, sales finally plummeted significantly, otherwise he would have prepared to directly stop the link on Taobao. Although it's good to sell a lot, it won't last until the Mid-Autumn Festival. After his mentality improved, he started reading novels, and his wife used his computer to watch TV dramas. The two of them were very harmonious and did not disturb each other. It's almost 12 o'clock now, ready to go to bed. Husband, I turned off the computer. Wait a moment, I'll close it. The operator quickly put down their phone and ran over. It is his habit to take a last glance at the data before going to bed. Pat the daughter.in.laws pp and ask her to move it down. Open the page to the data. Then my hand stopped. I will delete it immediately. Which immortal path is there? There is still room for improvement in the backend data, which store has a hot selling item, flowing heart mooncake, payment amount. 432-3424, number of orders. 6,541 inch 14,000 boxes. Livestock, it only took 3 hours and sold 6K boxes. Ask the warehouse tomorrow if they can stock up on some more goods, sighed helplessly, knowing that hope was slim. Finally, somewhat unwilling, he glanced at the undelivered orders again, wanting to know what had happened during the 3 hours he was not in front of the computer. Only then did I realize that there was actually a large quantity of over 1,000 purchase orders inside. There are actually a few purchase orders for hundreds of boxes, which are not commonly seen in daily life. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Tomorrow will be better. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Tomorrow will be better. At 6.12, Wu Zhou opened his eyes and woke up. Obviously, he also crossed over his biological clock in his 30s. Wake up, wash up, and then turn on the computer to take a look at the data. I have become accustomed to it. What kind of data is this? Number of clicks. 8,000, number of settlement transactions. 5283, payment amount. 3754241, estimated settlement revenue. 3754241. Open the Excel again, and the previously annotated data is. Click-through count. 5,000, settlement count. 3216, payment amount. 1254240, estimated settlement revenue. 125424. Newly added 3,000 traffic, settled transactions. 5,216.3216 is equal to 2067, payment amount. 3756271.125440 equals 2502031. This conversion rate is almost 70%. Moreover, the average settlement amount per order is actually as high as 1210, and the average transaction price per box is about 300, which means that the average transaction price is close to 4 boxes. Although it is not clear what the specific situation is, Wu Zhou himself is also aware that this data is abnormal. And for the abnormal data, Wu Zhou is very eager to find the reason. If the reason for success is found, then copy it. Over 300,000 yuan per day, not just over 1 billion yuan per year. Then Wu Zhou should be able to lie flat by then. Obviously, just thinking about it, Wu Zhou doesn't have a background for carrying mooncakes. If he asks for them over there, he probably won't give them. Of course, Wu Zhou also had some speculations in his heart. In the following time, Wu Zhou will attend classes normally. When he has free time, he can go to the second-hand market and search on the second-hand trading platform. In the end, I really found a particularly suitable one, which was an office desk and chair that a company had bought before. I bought too many, but now I don't use them anymore, so I'm ready to withdraw. But it can't be sold at a high price because it's assembled office furniture, which is troublesome to disassemble and assemble. Even second-hand buyers are unwilling to take it. Wu Zhou went over to check the condition of the tables and chairs, and then he took all of them. There were a total of 5 sets of office desks, totaling 300. Each set of office chairs was counted as 50, and the supporting facilities were included. Wu Zhou also asked for 5 sets, totaling 550 yuan. In addition, Wu Zhou was not idle either, continuing to select products, analyze, plan, and take simple photos of product images. However, most of them still found corresponding brand stores and directly stole pictures. After all, Wu Zhou is not a professional graphic designer or photographer. He doesn't know how to do these things. A little exploration, even the yellow cauliflower is cold, so he needs to find someone. Be poor. In addition, it is about organizing information for opening e-commerce stores. Cooperate with the accounting agency to expedite the implementation of the business license. If there is more space, it would be better to plan the space on the bottom line. As for recruitment, let's wait until the business officially starts. First, set up the basic disk. Moreover, Wu Zhou is not someone who likes to draw big cakes, and he doesn't have much money in his pocket. Why hire people for free? Money is cowardly. When you have money, you can speak much harder. In the blink of an eye, the Mid-Autumn Festival had already passed, and the 3-day Mid-Autumn Festival holiday was also the busiest 3 days for Wu Zhou. Fortunately, all the tasks were almost completed before and after the company was registered. Because I rented a house, the registered address on my business license is directly based on the rental property, which is equivalent to saving 1,000 yuan. The first step in entrepreneurship, Wu Zhou chose to open a Taobao store. The reason for choosing a Taobao store is that the threshold is low. If there is a disadvantage, it may be that the traffic weight of the Taobao store is lower than that of the Tmall store. But for Wu Zhou, this is not a big deal. Although the platform traffic is always good, Wu Zhou has his own traffic. Wu Zhou chose some high-quality insulated cups, mainly made of 316 stainless steel, with procurement costs ranging from 50 to 60, different models, capacities, and costs. Finally, Wu Zhou spent 300 yuan to buy a laser engraving machine. So, the final product sold by Wu Zhou is a personalized, high-quality, and high-quality stainless steel insulated cup. The courier selected by Wu Zhou is a cooperation with SF Express. Due to the lack of quantity in the initial stage, the shipping cost for Wu Zhou was still relatively high. After some discussion, in the end, considering that Wu Zhou was a student in school, they offered a discounted price of 8 yuan for the first weight and 2 yuan for the second weight. When the quantity is large in the later stage, the price can be negotiated again. So, if a single product is sold, the cost for Wu Zhou is around 58.68. But Wu Zhou's current flagship product is the couple version. That's 2 packs. The actual cost is between 110 and 130 yuan. Afterwards, several couple cups were paired according to the main couple colors in the industry, so that the 2 cups were grouped together. I bought several high-quality packaging boxes from the wholesale market and polished them. In this way, the couple's items are assembled and can be used as Valentine's Day gifts, holiday gifts, birthday gifts, etc. The main marketing tactic is, "You are my cup." The selling price is 210 yuan. The profit per order ranges from 90 to 100. The natural traffic of the new store is very low, so low that it can be despairing. In addition, Wu Zhou is still a Taobao store, combined with such high customer orders. So the final hope is still Wu Zhou's own precise traffic. After selling naturally for a day and placing no orders, Wu Zhou made a decisive decision the next afternoon and put in the order first. On the first day, 10 were launched first, 20 on the second day, 30 on the third day, and 40 on the fourth day. Continuously increasing advertising. At such a high price point in the industry, insulated cups, and in the end of September season, the average conversion rate is actually over 1%. However, the precise traffic generated by the system has increased the conversion rate to 10%, 15%, 20%. A little bit to around 20% won't pull it up. Compared to mooncakes, the conversion rate is not just a little bit lower. But that can also be considered the result of favorable timing, location, and human harmony, with many restrictions and requirements. And now, Wu Zhou's own small business has a significantly longer duration than mooncakes. Another thing is that for this product, the profit per order is around 100 yuan. Even if the traffic conversion rate is currently only around 20%, it is equivalent to the value of a precise traffic being around 20 yuan. Another week. The sales of the product finally slowly climbed to 22, and Wu Zhou finally started to make revenue at this point. It's not easy. It's not easy. The money finally came back. Looking at the money in Alipay, Wu Zhou felt a little urge to cry. How could he ever be so embarrassed? Entrepreneurship is really not the ability of ordinary people, and the uncertainty is too high. Now there is only the last 32 yuan left in the bank card. During this period, Wu Zhou has been living a frugal and calculating life. The money is too little, there is no other choice but to maximize the utilization of funds. Although there are only 16 sets of goods left in the bottom tier, the cost is only 1,700. Fortunately, Qian finally opened his shop in Wuzhou on the 5th day, and Alipay received the first amount confirmed by consumers. Alipay receipt amount 210, the order on the first day. 242 yuan, that's all Wu Zhou currently has. But tomorrow will be even better. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Money received. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Money received. During the National Day holiday, roommates have their own plans. And Wu Zhou is busy with recruitment. With the first payment received and the subsequent amount of money increasing, Wu Zhou finally had the confidence to start recruiting. The current shortage is for photography and graphic design, as well as the need for 2 customer service rotations. Currently, the order volume is low, but mainly due to financial constraints, Wu Zhou has not yet released the investment flow. And with the daily income, the account amount has expanded at a visible speed to the naked eye. Around the 20th, the over 300,000 yuan Taobao fees will be credited to your account, so you don't have to worry about the money. Jilian and Boss are Wu Zhou's main recruitment tools, and Wu Zhou has written very clearly about job requirements, salary and benefits, job promotion, and even internship time. There will be no ambiguity. The probationary period given by Wu Zhou is 1.2 months. Based on personal abilities and attitudes, those with strong abilities and good attitudes will become regular employees within 1 month. Although their abilities may be slightly inferior, their attitude is good, and they will be evaluated and most likely hired after 2 months. Other situations, regardless of strength or attitude, are not what Wu Zhou wants. The salary of Yunqing artists is generally around 4,000 yuan, with a typical photography fee of around 5,000 yuan. For customer service, 3,000 yuan is not bad. Wu Zhou also did not intend to break industry rules. For example, for the position of graphic designer, the salary is still 4,000. But Wu Zhou added 6 insurances and 1 fund. It should be noted that just this one can pass at least 90% of competitors in the same city, and the differentiation advantage is very obvious. Even if it is the minimum base for paying 6 insurances and 1 fund, the company still needs to spend about 1,500 more per month. That is to say, for the same position, the actual salary difference is close to 40% when paying or not paying the 6 insurances and 1 fund. Those with a little social experience should already know the benefits of this insurance. For one's future medical care, buying a house, and elderly care, all aspects are very important guarantees. Of course, Wu Zhou also does not want the company to become a retirement department, and incentive strategies are necessary, with positive incentives. The purpose of graphic design is to better showcase the selling points of the product and improve consumer conversion. The greater the increase in conversion rate, the more incentives there will be. For this incentive alone, the initial set is between 1.3 thousand. When it comes to discovering new products, they mainly require operations, which can be deeply explored through data fluctuations and industry status. However, it does not mean that only operations can explore new products. After all, everyone's life circle is not the same, and data is ultimately limited. It is not a universal 360-degree presentation without blind spots. Therefore, having more people makes more effort. All the good things in life can be brought up and presented to the company for analysis. If the product is confirmed to be feasible and the results are satisfactory, this incentive will be based on the output of the product, with new product incentives ranging from 3000 to 6000. Moving on to the third one, working overtime. There is no one who doesn't work overtime in e-commerce. However, how many e-commerce companies are paid for overtime? During these days of National Day, Wu Zhou obviously had no rest and was busy like a dog. Firstly, he came over for interviews at any time. Secondly, during the Golden Week, although everyone went out to play more, it didn't mean they wouldn't go shopping anymore. Fortunately, Wu Zhou is still controlling the flow, and the daily order volume is not high, fluctuating between 10.20. Shipping and packing are very convenient. There are many interviewees, including men and women, old and young. Wu Zhou once thought that reality could be like a novel, recruiting exceptionally beautiful individuals with strong abilities and a decent attitude. But the reality is that there are also beautiful people who can look like Han Xinyan, but Wu Zhou didn't come across them. It seems that it's not because of Wu Zhou. As for the attitude, Wu Zhou met a relatively beautiful person and just asked if the salary could be higher. After a few brief conversations, it was also considered unhappy and ended up with an iceberg face throughout the whole process. It seems that just this face is worth a higher company. This is obviously a big difference from the scene Wu Zhou had imagined before. Of course, this is just a small flavor enhancer in life, and Wu Zhou won't have a bad mentality because of it. The result of Wu Zhou's interview ultimately depends on his attitude, experience, and ability. Extremely capable and experienced, but with poor attitude, there will not be any good results. Attitude is what Wu Zhou values the most. A person with a score of 100, but if their execution power is only 50%, the result is equal to 50. And for another 80-point person with 100% execution power, the result is 100. Reality may not match the examples, because a person with an ability of 100 will definitely not have much difference in execution. Ability is a continuous process of improvement, requiring constant trial and error, continuous self-reflection, all of which are positive feedback of execution. So, during the interview, even if their resumes are beautiful, if their attitude is not very good, Wu Zhou will question the authenticity of their resumes. Of course, as the saying goes, knowing one's face is not knowing one's heart. Wu Zhou is not omnipotent, and can only rely on experience and visual observation to identify people, which cannot be 100% accurate. 7 days of hard work were not in vain. The graphic designer was hired and will be back on duty after the National Day holiday. There are too few resumes for photography, and when Wu Zhou came to interview, he could only shake his head from the bottom of his heart as he looked at the works they presented. And customer service is the best option, hiring 2 college students, 1 male and 1 female. Female college students, even when they come for interviews, are still brought by their husbands, but their temperament is slightly weak, making them suitable for customer service work. And I have worked as a customer service representative for over a year before, so it's good to get started quickly. Wu Zhou hopes to find such an employee. Male, coincidentally, it's a senior student at Yunqing College. There are already very few senior courses, and many people are looking for jobs. When Wu Zhou was idle, he also had time to participate in the interview invitation. When he came over, his attitude was also decent, and Wu Zhou agreed directly. After all, the customer service position didn't have too high requirements. They will not be allowed to play freely, and most temporary affairs are regulated. Yinqing Commerce Company, Limited finally has a preliminary structure. At 6 o'clock in the morning on October 20th, with a hazy sky, Wu Zhou had already opened his computer and clicked on his Taobao account. Estimated income: 371,424.1, slightly less than before, estimated to be some refunds, but the proportion is very small. Settlement ratio: 100% technical service fee. 37,542.4 direct to account. 70% the remaining amount needs to be fully invoiced before it can be credited to the account, so, the money that Wu Zhou immediately received in the end was 371,424. 1.37542.4, asterisk 70% equals 233,717.19 invoice amount. 333,881.7. There is still about 100,000 left lying in the account, which can only be obtained after invoicing. Wu Zhou knows this rule. I immediately sent the invoicing information to the accounting agency, and once the invoice was issued, I immediately sent it via SF Express. After arriving at the Taobao store, Wu Zhou converted his personal Takebo account into a corporate account. If it is a personal account, when withdrawing, in addition to the 10% technical service fee, a personal income tax of over 20% must also be paid. If it is based on a cumulative basis, the maximum amount is 45%, and the remaining amount will belong to Wu Zhou. Obviously, this money will be significantly reduced. After being converted into a corporate account, the money is equivalent to corporate funds, so there is no mention of personal income tax. Of course, there are also restrictions. If Wu Zhou does not use the money for business purposes and does not have an invoice to record it, it will be automatically determined as a corporate dividend and still need to pay a 20% dividend tax. So, after some consideration, it would be more cost-effective to have the funds deposited into the company. Looking at the amount received, Wu Zhou couldn't help but smile on his face. He had money. System. The host has met the point redemption requirements. May I ask if it is possible to redeem it? The sound of the system suddenly rang out. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Friends, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Friends host. Wu Zhou age. 22 life. 28 talent. 6 physical fitness. 4 wealth. 205621 flow rate. 260, plus, free attribute. 0, plus, 10,000 wealth values can be exchanged for 1 free attribute, 100,000 wealth values can be exchanged for the second attribute, a total of 11,000, can be exchanged for 2 free attributes. Do you want to exchange it? Although 23 million yuan was received, Wu Zhou's wealth value was only displayed as 20 million yuan, and there was still 3 million yuan of debt deducted before. As for the money earned during this period, most of it has become inventory of goods. First it was 10,000, then it was 100,000, and now it has doubled by 10 times. Next time it will cost 100,000 to change to another attribute point. Wu Zhou was a bit surprised by the speed of this doubling. But the system did not respond to Wu Zhou, it seems to have defaulted on Wu Zhou's ideas. System. 1 wealth equals 1 traffic, the host can currently redeem it on their own. After thinking for a moment, the attribute points were immediately exchanged. Wealth. 95621 flow rate. 260, plus, free attribute. 2. After the decline in wealth value, Wu Zhou's account amount also changed. Can money make the system grind? Although there is some pain in losing money, Wu Zhou has experienced the effects of attribute points as a divine artifact. Physical fitness must be supplemented with 1 more point. Clearly, I am a sub-healthy self, prone to various liver diseases. Wu Zhou could clearly feel that his heart was deteriorating. After the physical fitness value changed to 5, Wu Zhou immediately felt the change in his body. Seems to have become much lighter all at once. Before, my footsteps were a bit heavy, and coupled with the recent busyness, my head was actually a bit heavy. At this moment, it seemed as if it had disappeared. Of course, the ultimate result is that the abnormal sensation in the heart area completely disappears at this moment. Wu Zhou has an impulse to run. The health standards are indeed good, so what would it look like if it were 6? Wu Zhou couldn't help but think, but in the end, he abandoned this tempting idea and added talent. What is the use of this talent? Wu Zhou couldn't help but think, after all, this is not a world of cultivating immortals and high martial arts. What is the use of this talent? And it still exceeds the average by 6. Wu Zhou always feels that this number is a bit wasteful. What is the use of this talent in daily life? Wu Zhou couldn't help but speak up. I just waited for a moment and didn't hear a reply. Playing riddles again. Finally, in the talent category, Wu Zhou added 1. In an instant, Wu Zhou knew its purpose. After looking at the various data in front of the computer, Wu Zhou's mind kept calculating and extending the results he had originally wanted. There is a lot of knowledge about e-commerce deep in my memory, which is becoming clearer and more structured in my mind at this moment. Genius should be our understanding of the world, Wu Zhou speculated, waiting for the system to confirm. But the system didn't respond. At this moment, the attributes of Wu Zhou. Host. Wu Zhou age. 22 life. 35 talent. 7 physical fitness. 5 healthy, wealth. 95621 flow rate. 260 plus free attribute. 0 Although there is only a little over 90,000 left in wealth, it will arrive in about a week or so at around 100,000 yuan. Money is enough, and the most important thing is that money generates money. Almost all the wealth we currently possess is earned from this traffic. Traffic is the king's way, keep some. Wealth value converted to 80,000 traffic, wealth. 15,621 traffic. 8,000 precision traffic plus 260, ultra precision traffic, okay. This traffic has also split. Wu Zhou began to think about the difference between precision traffic and ultra precision traffic. Ultra precise traffic has been in use during this period, and Wu Zhou is clear about the effect, which is far more than 10 times or even dozens of times the industry's conversion. According to the information inadvertently leaked by the previous system, Wu Zhou's understanding of ultra-precise traffic should refer to the target audience who will directly consume it. And so on, the emergence of precise traffic now is clearly downgraded. That means potential consumer groups if two are combined, ultra-precision can be understood as someone who definitely wants to buy, and precise traffic. Recently, I've been looking at people who plan to buy. However, even if the traffic is downgraded, it is highly likely to be very, very cost-effective. Deploy 200 precise traffic. Wu Zhou wants to test the difference between precise traffic and ultra-precise traffic. Then stop the ultra-precision advertising and switch to precision traffic. With the same traffic, let's see how the final output will be. An hour later, Wu Zhou had a rough estimate in his mind. This 200 precise traffic was completed in just over an hour. And with the previous 200 ultra-precise traffic, if you let go of running, it would take more than 3 hours. And there were a total of 20 orders for these 200 traffic, while the conversion of ultra-precision traffic has been climbing recently due to the cooler weather. Yesterday's conversion rate even reached 39%. Compared to ultra-precision traffic, the value of precision traffic is only about 25%. However, even so, in the current industry, achieving a traffic conversion rate of 3% at the same price point is not bad. This means that the value of precise traffic is more than 3.4 times that of the direct traffic flow of those driving experts in the industry. Manager Chow, do you have any channels to buy a trademark? I plan to buy a trademark with a slightly wider business scope, mainly including leisure snacks, daily necessities, and small household appliances. With traffic and some money, Wu Zhou's business plan can finally move on to the second step. Even if the cups sold now are good, they are still others. If Wu Zhou tries hard to boost its sales, he will only end up making wedding clothes for others. And most importantly, if you sell well, you also have to worry about the brand taking it directly in the end. So it's better to be your own. Of course, creating a self-owned brand can actually be said to be the dream of every e-commerce person, but for hundreds of thousands of e-commerce people, very few have successfully created a brand. If it weren't for the system cheat, even if Wu Zhou were to become an independent brand, he would only accumulate capital to a certain extent in the future. Manager Chow specializes in trademark-related work, mainly focusing on registered trademarks, and also involves trademark buying and selling. Xiaozhou, you've been changing a lot lately. You go out early and come back late every day. Tell me, is there someone outside? Tell my brother. Li Xingyou said that from September until recently, Wu Zhou could hardly see anyone at school, so he only came back at night and went out early in the morning. During National Day, Li Xing was at school. Originally, he was supposed to gather together, but Wu Zhou was still busy with various activities. Of course, in just 2 months, Wu Zhou's changes were very obvious. Healthier, more confident. Health is visible, and confidence can be intuitively felt through words. Of course, it's all good news, and he's also happy for Wu Zhou. My mother is also urging me, and I hope so. I recently found a job outside of school, which is why I am so busy. Wu Zhou also explained. There will be many friends in life, but having one true friend is already a blessing from heaven. Li Xing is a friend that Wu Zhou cherishes. Amazing, Zhou, I started working so quickly. What kind of job and how much does it pay? Zhou Yun has been considering finding a part-time job recently, but all he can find is either distributing flyers or serving dishes. Although I don't think the job Wu Zhou found is a good one, I am still a bit curious. At this moment, the other few people in the dormitory also put down their phones and looked curiously at Wu Zhou. For those who work in e-commerce, they don't have much income and mainly rely on performance, so they are also unstable. They often have to run around and even have to go to the warehouse to move goods when shipping, but I just treat it as exercise. No matter how little, there are still some. You've been working for almost a month now, and the boss can't even refuse to pay. Zhou Yun pouted and asked relentlessly. Although it sounds tiring to run around and move goods, it's still better than distributing flyers and other jobs. He wants to ask in more detail, and if it's appropriate, he also wants to give it a try. After all, Wu Zhou can do it, and he definitely can do it too. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Adventures in Elective Courses. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Adventures in Elective Courses. Money is a good thing. After all, money can make ghosts grind, but a penny cannot defeat a hero. But money is not a good thing either. It can turn some father-son relatives and friends into enemies. Of course, the most important thing is that there are not many people in this world who hope you live well, especially those who live better than you. So don't show off your wealth, keep a low profile, be wealthy but wear luxurious clothes at night. This is Wu Zhou's current idea. Wu Zhou ignored Zhou Yun's questioning. Zhou Yun left Wu Zhou speechlessly, feeling that Wu Zhou was hiding something and unwilling to share it. I still want to ask further questions, but I feel a bit embarrassed. No matter how much you earn, just because this job can make your body healthy is already worth it. Well, indeed. Shi Shuijian was always the earliest one to get up in the dormitory before, and often after he finished running, when he returned to the dormitory, everyone had not gotten up yet. And now, when he wakes up, Wu Zhou may not be in the dormitory anymore. Having been busy for almost 2 months, Wu Zhou has been working tirelessly and feels a bit tired. Work is for better living, living is not for better work. Now the basic structure of the company has been established, with customer service and packaging personnel, and I am also available. Hiring is to buy employees time, liberate oneself, and give oneself more time. That morning, Wu Zhou had an elective course, mixed class, with over 100 classmates. For most elective courses, the teacher doesn't call the names because the number of students is still good. But Wu Zhou's luck was not very good. The elective course teacher was too boring in class, which led to many students skipping classes. In the end, feeling helpless, the teacher came up with a roll call trick. Afterwards, every class must have a roll call record in a notebook, and make a serious statement, failing the class if you don't come. Since then, his classes and classrooms have always been full. Wu Zhou sat in the last row with a computer and had to come, but he didn't have to listen when people arrived. At the end of the line, there was a peaceful scene, but at this moment, 2 lively figures suddenly sat in the seat next to him. After all, there was a slight commotion. Wu Zhou instinctively glanced at Han Xinyan and a small girl, who were also quite beautiful and lovely. Beautiful women seem to actually appear in clusters. Wu Zhou couldn't help but think. Han Xinyan has always been sitting in the back row. He came a bit late today and there are not many vacant seats in the classroom. Being pulled to the end by my best friend. But I didn't expect to see Wu Zhou. Hi, Han Xinyan greeted with a smile, looking very familiar. Wu Zhou chuckled lightly and let out a response, then refocused his attention on his computer. The beauty was on the side, feeling a bit uncomfortable. If it were Wu Zhou from the past, his thoughts might have been mixed up. But after the talent changed to 7, Wu Zhou could clearly feel the improvement in self-control. At this moment, even if he felt uncomfortable, Wu Zhou could still keep his thoughts undisturbed and organize his work there. Manager Chow has already reached an agreement on the brand name, Kayaphigia. At this moment, he is planning the initial product selection and future development path of the brand. Wu Zhou first opens the back-end business staff, searches for the corresponding product name, and then looks at the main sales seasons of the product on a monthly basis. Afterwards, we will look at the current sales volume in the industry, roughly convert the two, and estimate the peak sales volume. Then eliminate various other interfering factors, such as price, brand, consumer characteristics, what problems the product mainly solves, the selling points of the product that consumers are most concerned about, and pain points, etc. After reading most of these, the brain provides analytical answers. Afterwards, Wu Zhou will present it in the form of a mind map, without the need to repeatedly switch screens to input information. Han Xinyan never expected to be so close to Wu Zhou after many days. But seeing Wu Zhou constantly tinkering with the computer, and even seeing the Taobao interface appearing, I thought Wu Zhou was preparing to buy something, and felt a bit contemptuous in my heart. Just a series of subsequent operations, various numerical values, and winding curves by Wu Zhou, she was not a fool either. Of course, she knew that Wu Zhou was not buying anything, but more like working. Just what kind of job is this? I don't know why. Song Fei and Han Xinyan are half a pound. You know this handsome guy, shall I make way for you? Song Fei raised her eyebrows and said half-jokingly. But Han Xinyan quietly pinched her, and Wu Zhou didn't react as if he hadn't heard her. He is the roommate of Zhao Danan's ticket, said Song Fei with a slightly unusual look at Wu Zhou upon hearing her best friend's words. Oh. He subconsciously looked at Wu Zhou. It looks pretty good, isn't it rumored that your health is not very good? It doesn't look like it. The two of them didn't say much, after all, Wu Zhou was right beside them, and no matter how low the voice was, it was possible to hear it. It was so awkward. Then she started playing with her phone, but the sound of cracking and continuous tapping in her ear made her curious. She just stared at Wu Zhou, wanting to see what she was doing. Wu Zhou did not pause for a moment because of her attention. Her focused appearance made it impossible for her to overlap the image of Wu Zhou in front of her with the licking dog mentioned by Han Xinyan. How could a person who is so focused on doing things be useless? Are you sure you didn't mistake the person? Song Fei saw Wu Zhou perfecting his mind map, and due to the close proximity, he could see a lot of content. Although I don't know the reason for writing those analyses. But at first glance, it was clear that she had never thought it was just a product on Taobao, and that so much information could be analyzed behind it. At this moment, Wu Zhou gave her a very professional feeling. Han Xinyan is actually a bit strange. Not to mention Wu Zhou's complexion now, it's much better than when we first met. She had never seen her focused appearance before. She felt a sense of unreality in Wu Zhou at this moment. Intentionally. Pretending to be. It doesn't seem like it's like it. When the two of them used to be alone, Wu Zhou would always sneak a peek at her or deliberately find some topics, giving her a very childish feeling. It seems like a boy who hasn't grown up, so she never gave Wu Zhou any chance. He just kept persevering. But now. 45 minutes passed quickly, and the bell rang, but Wu Zhou still had no reaction. The content in the mind map, at least 8 or 9 products, had already been released, and it was still ongoing. The improvement of talent has made Wu Zhou more focused and agile in his work, and it seems that his memory has also improved compared to before. Handsome guy, class is over. Aren't you leaving yet? Song Fei smiled, curious about Wu Zhou. Let's talk later, Wu Zhou replied without any pause in his hand. Do you still have classes in this classroom later? Song Fei continued. Wu Zhou only looked up at this moment, and many students left after class, while others came in and took their seats. Obviously, in this case, it would not be appropriate for Wu Zhou to continue here. I didn't pay attention, thank you. Wu Zhou thanked her for the reminder and tidied up his computer before getting up and leaving. When Han Xinyan watched Wu Zhou leave, he didn't even look at himself, and his heart felt a little strange. Are you free for lunch? Let's eat together. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Encountering employees. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Encountering employees. In his memory, Han Xinyan never took the initiative to ask Wu Zhou out. It was always Wu Zhou who took the initiative, about 7 or 8 times, and finally came out once. Just having a meal, I went back to the dormitory without strolling around on the playground and hurriedly saying goodbye. Looking at Han Xinyan, Wu Zhou noticed a look of regret on his face. Wu Zhou originally blurted out what he wanted to refuse, but now he nodded. Sure, where are we going? Han Xinyan regretted saying it. It's strange that Song Fei kept talking to Wu Zhou, but Wu Zhou didn't look at her from beginning to end, which caused her to have a strange emotion. Under impulse, he also made an invitation to make a meal appointment. Wu Zhouhui agreed, as expected, but couldn't feel any emotional fluctuations in Wu Zhouhui's words, which remained calm and indifferent. I'm looking for a place to eat, my treat. Han Xinyan was somewhat surprised. Previously, it was always someone else's treat, but I didn't realize it for a moment. But then he thought it was his own suggestion and couldn't help but curse himself lightly. However, it seems that Wu Zhou was not like this before. He used to be very gentlemanly and proactive, but now. Han Xinyan looked at Wu Zhou in front of him, as if he was really different. It seems like we can have lunch now. Song Fei smiled and looked at Han Xinyan, who was fiercely staring at Wu Zhou. But it's only after 10 o'clock now, and we'll have to leave at least an hour later. So Wu Zhou still left, and when he sets off for dinner later, Han Xinyan will contact him again. Han Xinyan opened her mouth and agreed to the meal she had arranged. Just watching Wu Zhou walk with a very carefree back, feeling a bit angry as he looked at him inexplicably. No wonder she never had a girlfriend. At this point, she had completely forgotten what Wu Zhou used to look like. Xinyan, there's something wrong with you, Song Fei looked at her mischievously. Don't daydream, it's just because he's angry. The most annoying thing is you. What should you say to him, otherwise I'll leave early? Han Xinyan spoke directly, feeling more at ease with his best friend. Okay, it's all my fault. However, Xinyan, are you sure that's the Wu Zhou you mentioned to me before? It looks pretty good. I'm not sure, I haven't had much contact with him, but what's certain is that his past is definitely different from his present. Are you pretending? Song Fei thought of the way Wu Zhou was focused on his work just now. Can he still pretend to be in such a smooth state? But I don't want to waste any more time on Wu Zhou. Han Xinyan also doesn't want to waste time. After all, it was her own proposal to eat together. She wants to find a place to fool around. But the brain doesn't obey, ruling out restaurants one after another, thinking about where to eat at noon. The quiet kind is definitely not good, it's easy to misunderstand, and the type of food stall is also not good, there are too many people. Ah! It's so annoying. Han Xinyan wanted to slap herself, but who would let her talk too much? By the way, Xinyan, have you ever had a meal with another boy before? Song Fei didn't seem to have heard of Han Xinyan taking the initiative to treat him, of course, referring to the boy. Han Xinyan snorted lightly. At this moment, Song Fei whispered in Han Xinyan's ear. Just over half an hour later, Han Xinyan took the initiative to contact Wu Zhou and asked him to meet at the entrance of the West Campus. Wu Zhou was still busy organizing materials, so he instinctively agreed and hung up the phone. Keep busy. An hour later, Wu Zhou finally came to an end. Just remembered, quickly packed up. I was late. But then he thought of it again. If she were really late for such a long time, Han Xinyan would definitely notify her, but now there are no phone calls or text messages, obviously she hasn't arrived either. Later, Wu Zhou understood Han Xinyan's small measure. However, the task has also been done almost, there is no need to continue waiting. The brain has been running at high speed for so long, and Wu Zhou is already hungry. If she wants to keep talking, I don't need to wait. Wu Zhou felt that his time was still very precious, especially wasting time on such things was not worth it. At the same time, Song Fei and Han Xinyan had already arrived at a slightly hidden place not far from the west gate. They arrived half an hour ago, originally intending to watch Wu Zhou anxiously wait under the scorching sun, in order to vent their anger. But as a result, after waiting for half an hour, there was no sign of Wu Zhou. Xinyan, did you say Wu Zhou arrived before and left? Song Fei asked suspiciously. Gone. That's good too, there's no need to treat. Han Xinyan even breathed a sigh of relief. After thinking for a while, I still dialed Wu Zhou's phone number. Have you arrived at the west gate yet? Han Xinyan, please confirm if he really left. I'm here. Wu Zhou's sudden voice startled them both. Later, I saw Mr. Wu waving at them. As he approached the west gate of the campus, Wu Zhou felt a strange figure not far away. Upon a brief observation, he spotted Han Xinyan and Song Fei hiding. The hiding was broken, Han Xinyan and Song Fei felt like her scheme had been exposed, feeling a bit embarrassed. It's not good to challenge Wu Zhou again. Let's go. I suggest eating whatever you want nearby. It's too far away and the round-trip time is too long. Han Xinyan chose a place in the mall where he could take a taxi for at least half an hour, which happened to be during mealtime. A slightly better restaurant would have to wait in line for half an hour. It's still most suitable nearby. However, before the discussion was completed, a pair of familiar personnel looked at Wu Zhou and the three of them in shock. Zhou, why are you here? Li Xing and Zhao Dan were preparing to go out for dinner, but they accidentally discovered Wu Zhou. The point was that there was actually Han Xinyan by Wu Zhou's side. After a brief conversation, Li Xing found out that Wu Zhou and the three of them were also going to have dinner, so he directly arranged to have dinner together. I just kept staring at Wu Zhou, who was strange. Some gossip about why Wu Zhou got involved with Han Xinyan again. In my mind, even gossip came up about a TV series, such as the two of them having an underground romance for the past 2 months. Li Xing and Zhao Dan originally planned to eat casually, but as the team grew, the dining area could not be too casual. I found the largest restaurant near the school, which is actually a 2-story residential building converted from it. Therefore, there are more private rooms available. However, when Wu Zhou first came in, he saw an acquaintance. Mr. Wu. Zhou Jian felt a bit embarrassed because he and Wu Zhou took a day off, saying that they needed to have some gastrointestinal discomfort and go to the hospital for a check-up, but now, face to face with friends, drinking and exchanging drinks, blushing, obviously not drinking too much. How could this be due to gastrointestinal discomfort? Wu Zhou's mind twitched and looked at the person next to Zhou Jian, from a slight surprise at the beginning to a curious scrutiny now. Obviously, Zhou Jian told him about Wu Zhou. However, there is no need for these Wu boats to negotiate with Zhou Jian duo, simply nodding to indicate. Then, with a puzzled expression on their faces, Li Xing followed the boss to the second floor. It's really awkward. Zhou Jian breathed a sigh of relief as he watched Wu Zhou leave. Your boss is really young. Shoo, for the rest, go out and talk to the boss to settle the bill. End of this chapter.